I think the idea of Donald Trump being more dangerous than Iran right now
and actually that was
ludicrous.
Last year during the what is pushing people.
Do you think Donald Trump is more of a threat than Hamas, Hezbollah and Iranians?
You're not going to believe what a Labour activist just said on live TV. He actually claims that Donald Trump is a bigger threat to the UK than actual terrorist groups. And watch how Camilla Tominey absolutely destroys this delusion in seconds. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Now let's watch this together and then I'll share my thoughts at the end.
Today, the second highest ranking man in the UK government met the second highest ranking man in the US. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy and Vice President JD Vance had a friendly meeting. It follows 7 days in which the UK government's had to walk a diplomatic tightrope. The US has taken a series of unexpected and provocative foreign policy positions, from seizing Venezuelan President Maduro, re-announcing lust for Greenland, and taking possession of a Russian-flagged tanker with British help. How hard will Keir Starmer find it to be Donald Trump's friend in 2026? Let's turn to our panel. Praful, to you first. This is a high-wire act for the UK. Could Keir Starmer topple?
I mean, he's definitely walking a tightrope. The reality is that Trump's actions in the last week have been unpredictable and unprecedented.
Can he be trusted?
I think no one can fully trust Donald Trump, but you have to work with him, especially if you're the British Prime Minister and you want to protect our country's interests. Our security is still reliant on NATO and the American security guarantee. And if we want any kind of peaceful resolution in Ukraine, we are going to be all reliant on American continued support for Zelensky.
Camilla, you must, whatever your position on the politics, enjoy the fact that JD Vance and David Lammy have such a close link. They're linked by background, by faith and by fishing.
Well, indeed, yeah, they're both keen anglers, aren't they? And they do have this shared history.
I mean, that's good for the UK, isn't it?
Well, both balled on the wrong side of the tracks and have made something of their lives and become very successful politicians. I think the nature of this special relationship as it now stands is a curious beast. On one hand, you've got two absolutely unlikely bedfellows in Keir Starmer, the former lawyer that very much believes in international law, and Donald Trump, who takes actions which suggests he doesn't. Equally, you've got the Prime Minister trying to keep the US happy because of the important nature of that ally, but also we know really that his heart belongs with his European neighbours and the coalition of the willing. But of course he has to maintain this appearance of a relationship with America because we're in a very perilous state right now. Got Russia still at war with Ukraine, activity in China, and what's been happening.
We should talk about this instability, right? We did some research on this last year and the British public told us they thought Donald Trump was a greater threat to British interests than terrorist groups. Well, pretty unpopular in this country.
He's pretty unpopular in this country. That would be probably a bit of a misnomer. I think the idea of Donald Trump being more dangerous than Iran right now.
And actually, that was
ludicrous.
Last year during the trade, all the trade furore, and now we have all of these actions instead. And that's actually what is pushing people.
Do you think Donald Trump is more of a threat than Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iranians?
I think he is unreliable, and I think it is a big part. It is a big part of why the country, even those who voted for Leave, actually want stronger relationship with Europe in particular.
Do you agree with?
We're reliant on Americans for security. That is the reality. But the fact is, there is an opportunity here for the government to push towards the European Union in order to secure us. And actually, the danger is for reform. One of the biggest challenges for Nigel Farage is that one of his biggest perceived weaknesses is his former bromance with Donald Trump. And actually, people find that Donald Trump is an agent of chaos, and that closeness could be a danger for reform at the next election.
He's not a terrorist. I mean, let's get this into perspective. You started the show earlier looking at the scenes in Iran. OK, let's just be clear where our global enemies actually lie. It certainly isn't across the pond. And that is why Labour government ministers, probably against their own inner monologue, are making waves to be close to the Americans. Vance has been, let's be honest, more equivocal. Vance has been more equivocal and slightly more circumspect on the issue of Venezuela and indeed Greenland. And that probably appeals to Lammy. But at the end of the day, we cannot possibly take our own Prime Minister seriously if he has a Jeremy Corbyn-esque attitude towards the US President.
Nick, there's been a development on Taiwan as we come to air?
That's right. So Donald Trump has done an interview, the New York Times did it yesterday, 4 senior journalists. They've been putting out in dribs and drabs. And in the last few minutes, Reuters have picked up on what appear to be some very significant remarks by the president. And it's saying, Reuters is saying, Donald Trump has said it's up to Chinese President Xi Jinping what China does in Taiwan. And it quotes the president as saying he, as in Xi Jinping, considers it to be part of China. And that's up to him what he's going to be doing. He then says, I've expressed to him that I'd be very unhappy if he did that, and I don't think he'll do that. I hope he doesn't do that. Now, what that suggests is that Donald Trump is accepting the Chinese argument that Taiwan is an internal matter. And it looks like, reading that, Donald Trump would not be happy if the People's Republic took over the Republic of China in Taiwan, but may not sort of take military action to stop it. And what this raises is this big thing, is does Donald Trump believe in spheres of influence? I get to control the Americas. Look at Venezuela. Vladimir Putin gets to control the former Soviet Union. Look at Ukraine. And does the People's Republic of China get to control Taiwan?
Is he going to have to work out, the British Prime Minister, listening to Nick, at what point the risks of dealing with Donald Trump outweigh the benefits for the UK? Do you think there's going to be a Downing Street late night meeting one night when they have to break with the US and push over towards Europe?
Well, I think breaking with the US probably isn't the wisest thing he can do right now, because he's already been lampooned somewhat this week for not having much contact with Donald Trump until recently. I think also John Bolton should probably be quoted when it comes to Trump, the former National Security Advisor, who says take him seriously but not literally. So when he talks about invasions, in inverted commas, of Greenland, is he really being serious about that? Is he really going to compromise NATO alliances?
Well, that is the question, right? And the key thing is NATO doesn't exist without the Americans. We are not capable in Europe of defending ourselves without their security guarantee. But for the long-term prosperity of our continent, and we are still Europeans, we live on the European continent, the fact is we need that closer relationship. And if you're in Downing Street, you'll be thinking about that summit in May, the second summit. How can we go further with trade, with the economy and with defence?
We need a close relationship with Europe. In what regard? Realigning, are you supporting the legislation that's being put forward to reverse the
We have been
referendum?
banging the drum for a close relationship on the single market, because that's the biggest lever a government can pull to get our economy going. But also in this world with spheres of influence, Europe has to make sure that it is in a secure position.
How does aligning with Germany with its 2.1% growth rate since 2020 help us with our own growth rate?
I mean, look, the overwhelming evidence of the damage, the cumulative impact that Brexit has had to our economy is manifest.
Okay,
we don't need to read about that.
Well, we do, we should, but we're not doing it tonight. But, no, it's just to say.
It is honestly frightening that people like that were standing to be Labour MPs. He sat there with a straight face and argued that the President of the United States is more dangerous than Hamas, Hezbollah or the Iranian regime. Camilla Tominey called it exactly right. It is ludicrous. This is the problem with the modern left. They are so blinded by their hatred of Donald Trump that they have lost all sense of perspective on who our actual enemies are. And notice the awkwardness. Labour ministers like David Lammy are currently flying over to kiss the ring of JD Vance and Donald Trump because they know they need the trade deals, while their activists are still spewing this rhetoric on the BBC. Question for you, who is the bigger threat to Britain, Donald Trump or the terror groups in the Middle East? I think I know the answer, but let me know in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss a thing.